Hey, Steve Mignani here doing the Junkyard Crawl at Bernardston Auto Wrecking in Bernardston, Massachusetts with a 1941 International K6. Now the K series of International trucks was built between 1940 and 1957, and the quick way to identify these things is to look here by the side of the grill for the marker light that would live right there. Partial turn signal, but again 1940 through 1957, you see this, you're looking at a K series. Now these were available as a K1 pickup truck all the way up to the 90,000 pound GVW K14. So from big to little, International had you covered with the K series. Now this one here is a K6, which tells us it's about a 6-tonner, 7-tonner. It's got 6 wheels, and keep in mind, International Harvester started building trucks in 1906 and still makes them to this very day. A company called Traton owns International Harvester, or at least the bones of it to this very day, and so they're some of the leaders in autonomous driving big rigs. So International trucks then and now. As we dig into this one here, we can see the standalone radiator shell here with the bolt-on fenders. The envelope styling wouldn't come for a few more years, but on this one here, we can see the remnants here of the crank right here. This little stub right here is a support. You would run a handle through here, through the grill. You can actually crank your motor over if everything else failed. So these were meant to be utilitarian, and farmers and truckers alike enjoyed the fact these were very usable and didn't really rely on electronics that much. No computers at all in these things, obviously. Now this one here, being a K6, does have the heavy-duty forged wheels, 6 lugs right here, and I like how the International logo is pressed into the hubcap. And yes, International, it's upside down here, but this can be pried off to service the bearings inside. It's a big hollow structure right there. Let's have a look under the hood and see what we have. Yeah, okay, this is the inline 6 overhead valve, fairly advanced for its time. 1-barrel carburetor, big old 1-barrel on that side there. Heavy-duty oil bath air cleaner right here, which would trap all but the worst kind of grit and dust on an industrial work site. And again, very conventional, literally, body style. Not a cab over, of course. Conventionals is generally the term for vehicles that have a nose out ahead of the cab. Now this is one of those wonderful books on International trucks. This one here from 2002. Frederick Crimson did this one, and takes you all the way back to the beginnings of International, the auto buggies. Again, 1906, the first year for an International truck. And you move into the 20s and 1925, and little by little things got more and more advanced and evolved. And of course, by 1940, we see the wonderful K-series trucks. By the way, ignore the construction happening nearby. It never fails. You hit play or record, and automatically get lots of displaced, non-diegetic sound. Look that up on Google. Anyway, here we have 1941, the same year of this truck here. And again, the K1s, little half to K2 pickup trucks. This would be probably a 3/4 to 1-tonner. But again, same basic cab used on everything from here to the K14 with its 90,000 pound capacity. And yeah, we've mentioned cab overs. Yeah, that's a cab over, of course, for better traveling in the city. You can actually steer without the nose poking out. And here is the conventional style we see right here, K7, a little bit bigger than the K6 that we'll get back to right now. Now, the little details we look at on this truck here are the window, or the mirrors right here, which stick out. And again, the point of that, you gotta remember the cab is only so wide, but the bed on the back of this thing, it's missing now, but could be all the way out to here. So the bed and the box could be very wide. So therefore the mirrors had to stick way out so the driver could see beyond the corner of the cargo box to see what's behind. Inside, trade places here, Super Shane if you want, and there it is right there. The manual transmission, always no automatics in big International trucks to get into the 1960s. These are strictly work horses, and you were expected to earn your pay by shifting some gears. And this is kind of a cool thing here. This is from 1946. It's International celebrating its first 50 years building vehicles. And we see here 1907, 1916, the ancient stuff here. That's one of the high wheelers right there. Believe it or not, that was far better than a wagon with a couple horses in front of it. And again, you could leave the horses at home, no need to feed them or give them water. And again, the auto buggy, kind of an amazing invention that set a lot of farmers free. And old Dobbins, as they say, the old horse, could stay home on the farm. Subsequent trucks, again, a little more modern stuff, 1950s here. This is the V line, which of course was later than the K, and available from small to medium to huge. And I love these old dealer brochures right here, just beautiful artwork on these things. Here's the S line, which came later, late 50s, early 60s, more envelope styling. Here we can see that they're no longer separate frame or fenders, I should say. And of course, we can't forget the International Travel All. Of course, these are for family use. Right in there with the Chevy Suburban in allowing people to take their family with them and still haul a big heavy load. We can't forget that International also made Jeep-like vehicles, the Scouts, the Scout 2, the Scout Traveler. And again, they stopped making light vehicles like this one about 81, 82, pickup truck, but they continued in the heavy-duty truck market to this very day. And again, those autonomous driving big rigs, well, one of the leaders in developing of those things is Traton, which owns International to this day. Now, this one here is a fairly long wheelbase. You can see right here, it had the battery box on the side. And here's the ground strap right here for that battery. Probably not a factory item right here, this braided stuff, but certainly did the job. Negative ground here. This is somebody else's gas tank from some other application, but here's the drive shaft, you can see right here, with the greased splined slip yoke at the front right here, which allowed the rear axle to go up and down, and this would slide here without binding and crunching. And dig this, look at the support bearing right there for the back of the transmission. So the engine mount and the transmission are very well secured to the frame, and then of course the drive shaft comes on out and goes to the rear axle. Monstrous thing. Look at this beast right here. Huge rear axle. I think that's a 1-speed. I don't see a little box on it for 2-speed, but again, huge rear axle, probably about a 14-inch ring gear inside of that thing. And the dual wheels here on the back. Now these are going to be split rims, I think, on this one here, which are kind of spooky to work on. One of the problems with a split rim is that if you don't have the lock ring just right, when you inflate it, you can become an astronaut as it pops apart and sends you through the roof of the tire shop. The rear window on this thing's kind of interesting. You can see right here, it actually has the ability to go up and down. And if you thought that was a modern thing, you can see right here, the tracks on each side where the window could slide down into the cab, and kind of a neat touch right there. This one is very utilitarian, but kind of cool. We see up in the center of the headliner, there is a spotlight located on the arch of the windshield, and that's the handle to control the spotlight. Perhaps a factory accessory, but certainly a helpful thing. If this was maybe a snowplow or some sort of a delivery truck at night, that light would be very helpful in delivering the goods at night. And something kind of cool here, of course, don't even think about air conditioning with heavy trucks like this till you get into the 50s and 60s and 70s for sure. And of course now, they almost have saunas and whirlpool baths in them right now. They're so luxurious. But this one here, this is your luxury. The windshield is actually hinged at the top and can be raised so that you get a gap of air. This come out probably about 3 inches, 4 inches, and nice cool air would blow in there onto the driver to keep things cool on a summer day. Let's walk around to this side here. Yeah, heavy-duty truck. And again, Bernardson Auto Wrecking, we're here in rural Massachusetts. I love this place. Nature's growing in, taking over. And it's funny, doing videos in the spring or early summer like we are right now, it's a whole different experience from late fall or winter when all this green stuff is gone. So bear with us and we'll sort of make our way through this. And if you want Super Shane Richardson, cameraman extraordinaire, puck yourself inside there, and then we'll have a peek at the passenger side of this interior. Yeah, and there it is. There's that stick shift right there. Here's the glove compartment. What's in the box? Well, I'm not going to rest that. It is empty. There's nothing in there, but dig the lock. Is that a lock? No, it's a little button. But yeah, utilitarian stuff. But again, this truck cab is definitely weather tight, or it was. And that was a major step forward. You know, back in the 20s and 30s, truck cabs were often made of wood. And in some cases, really early trucks, the cab was actually open, had a C over the top. The driver put a jacket on and drove year-round while the cargo was boxed up. The driver was not. But again, by 1941, in this K-Series, driver comfort was a bigger part of the picture, and International was one of the leaders in heavy-duty trucks. Now, you got to think, you know, Ford and Chevy and Studebaker, they also made trucks, but International is kind of between Ford and Mack, kind of in that halfway place of getting to be a very heavy-duty commercial version of a truck, and not so much a lightweight farmer's truck like a Ford or Chevy would have been at this point in time. So that's the story of the 1941 K6 International 6-wheel truck. If you like this video, be sure to share it with your friends, give us a thumbs up, and by all means hit the bell so you're aware of the next video, which comes out tomorrow morning.